Hey, what is happening, guys? So I actually already recorded this episode once and I failed to hit the record button. So the display record button. Well, here goes nothing. So in this episode we're going to build a navigation bar and we're going to use the CSS grid, flexbox and media queries. And let's take a look at what we're going to build and then let's jump into the code. So as you can already see, I did the project. Yay, forgot to hit record. This is what we're going to build today. A responsive navigation bar. We're going to have this menu items up here, this logo, and this text also for the logo, a footer down here, a background, and title and a subtitle. And if you go from desktop to tablet, let's take a look at the items here, at the logo here, and at the title. They shrunk down, and then if we hit mobile, then everything disappears. So actually the items disappear, and if we click on the icon right here, then this menu bar appears, the items appear again. We click it again, it goes away, and if we also click here, it also appears. And take a look at this menu text right here. If we go from mobile to tablet, then it disappears. So this will only appear when we are in mobile mode. Okay, so let's get started. Now, as you can see, I already did all of this, so I'm just going to delete it. Oh my god, I deleted everything. Good. Library road. Yep. Now let's hit emit again. So I have to clear up my throat. Okay, so let's hit emit. And this isn't working because we're in the CSS file. Let's hit emit, give this a title, responsive navigation. Okay, link up our CSS. Oh yeah, so I created a HTML and a CSS file and a image folder where we have this to images, so the background image and the logo. And as always, you will find everything in the description below to download. Okay, so let's get started. We're in here and now we need font awesome. So the CDN for the font awesome. You could just type into Google's font awesome CDN and copy it here. And we will also need Google fonts. And actually I have to show you this. We need this font right here, Monda. And if you click on this, it's already in here. So there should be a plus. Click on it. You click on it and then you copy in this link into your HTML. And then you copy in the font family into your CSS file by taking the body tag and applying the font family to it. Okay, now let's take care of the HTML. So first we will create a header tag. And within the header tag, we'll create a nav tag and we'll give the nav tag the class of nav container. Within the nav tag container, we'll create a div. So a div with the class of logo. Just type in .logo. And within this logo, we'll create a label for the menu, and we'll also give this a class of menu btn, the menu button. Now we'll create an image tag, and within this image tag, so the source will be our image folder, and we will select the background image. And we will also give this image tag a class of logo image. logo img. Now after our logo, so after our div with the class of logo, we'll create a anchor tag with an href of index.html. Actually, let me just resize my head right here because this is far too big. That's enough. Okay, so within our h tag, we'll now create a label tag for the menu again, and also give this a class of logo title. Then the label will now type in, you can type your own name if you want. So Manhart, I'm just going to type in my own name, and then a span tag, and then media. Okay, that's basically it for this. Now after the h tag, wait a second, this is here. And this anchor tag should be within this logo div. Right. Now after the div with the class of logo, so which ends here, we'll create an input tag which will serve as our menu button. And we will give this a type of checkbox. And also an ID of menu. This is where we created these labels. They are actually for this checkbox with ID of menu. After our checkbox, we'll create an unordered list, and we'll give this a class of list items or nav items. Sorry about that. Now we'll create a few list items with an anchor tag, and also give this a class of active. And this would be for the home. Now let me copy this one time. You can actually delete this class now and change this to about. Then copy it 1, 2, 3 times. And then services, contact, and feedback. Now after our nav tag, actually after our header tag, we'll go down and create a main tag. And within this main tag, we'll create a section where our background image will live and our title and subtitles. Let me actually open this. So this is so far what we've created. This is the image, and here are our list items. Now within the section, we'll give this section the class of main container, and then create an h1 tag with the title of responsive navigation. And underneath our h1, we'll create the h2 tag, and then 3 span tags. The first will be for desktop. Then we'll copy this 2 more times. Then tablet. And mobile. And last, after our main section, we'll create a footer tag. And within the footer tag, we'll create a paragraph tag, and we'll type in Manhart. And within the span, media again, so we could copy this, paste it in here, and then create a copyright tag by hitting this and copy, and 2020. Okay, that's it for the HTML. Now let's jump into our CSS. First, let's get rid of these margins and paddings and bullet points and these underlines. And for this, we'll do a general reset. Actually, for this and for the before and for the after. And we'll tell them that they should have a margin of 0, padding 0, the box sizing should border box. Now let's get rid of the bullet points and underlines. So list style, none, and text decoration, also none. Okay, so this looks pretty clean. Now we can continue on with our body. Now within our body, we will create a background image. And did I actually choose the wrong image here? Yep, I did. This should be my logo. So go back into our HTML. Within the image tag, you should select the logo. Okay, close this up. And now for our background, we will select this background image. And now to position this background image, we will create give this a background size of cover, then a background position of center, and for the repeat, so background repeat, we will type in no repeat. We also want this image to have a width of 100 viewport heights, actually viewport widths, and a height of 100 viewport heights. And there we go, there's our background. Now let's take the class of main container so actually this class right here. So we're going to style out this portion for the H1s and the H2s. And we want the H1s and the main container. Actually, I'm just going to copy this. Of text align. So we want to align this text to the center. You type in text align center. Then we position this relative. Then margin from the top, we'll give it 20 viewport heights. We'll push it down. Then a font size of 10 rem. And a color of hash 341C09. The brownish color. There we go, there's our text. And again for the H2s, I want to give them a font size of just 2 rem, actually 3 rem. Now let's take care of the navigation, but first I want to take care of the image. So, no, actually let's take care of the entire navigation. So we created this class of nav container. This is where all our navigation elements live. So let's take this and let's give this a background color of hash 236AB9, then a height of 80 pixels and a width of 100% of its container. This will use the entire width there. And I could actually make this small because we don't need our HTML anymore. And make this larger. Now we want to display this as grid, and proportionate like 30% should be, check it out, so 30% will be this part and 70% will be this part. Now for this we first have to display it as grid. then tell that the grid template column should be 30% and not dollars, $30, 70%. And if you take a look in our developer tools and actually go to this container right here, you can see it's always split up into 2 columns and 2 rows. We're gonna get rid of the row by taking this checkbox. You can see this checkbox right here, and display it as none. And we actually give this the ID of menu, because you don't need to see this. I'm just going to do this here. So the ID of menu should be displayed as none. And now the grid looks totally different. Now I also want to give this box shadow. So take a look, this drop down shadow right here. And we do this by typing in box shadow of 0, 0, 10 pixels and sorry about that, 5 pixels. Okay, we have a box drop down shadow. Now let's take care of the logo. So nav container, let's copy this container again. And am I actually only doing this because so I could just take the H1 and the H2s, but I want to have a greater specificity. That's a hard word. So I actually just could take the H1 and the H2s and don't have to tag this container. But in order for you guys to be more clear on this, I'm always trying to type in which container the elements are contained. So in the navigation container, within the logo, we'll take the height of 80 pixels. This will make our icon smaller. And now we'll display it as, actually this won't make our icon smaller. I have to take the image tag, but this entire container will be 80 pixels. And we want to display this as flex. Now let me actually do this. Make the image smaller, because this is really annoying that you can see what is happening right there. So I'll give this a max height of 40 pixels. And let me comment this flex out. So we are targeting these 2 elements right here, because within the logo class, this image and label, this image live, and this label. And when we display them as flex, we are only talking about this part of the code. Okay, now let's go back to our image and give this a border radius. So this is right now a rectangle, but if you take a look at in my example here, it is a circle. And we can do this by just giving the border radius of 50%, and this will transform it into a circle. Let me actually make this bigger. You see, now it's a circle. And I also want to have my pointer, my cursor as a pointer where I hover over it. Okay, now we can comment back in this display flex and we'll align the items to the center, and this will push the text down to the center, and these 2 items actually. And I will also give it a padding from the left of 1 rem. This is push just 1 rem from its left to the right. Okay, now let's take the container of nav, the nav container, and this time I'm going to take the logo title. So let's go back into our HTML. So now we're taking on this part of the code. So this right here. So the logo title, I'm going to change the color of this to hash D4 E4 F7. Make sure deselect it. And we'll increase its font size to 1.5 rem. Oh, and I actually forgot to do something here. I should have changed the font size to 16 pixels. So I just reset the entire font size for the HTML document. Now this should also have the cursor of pointer. Okay. And now let's select this again and copy it down here. Now we're going to take care of the span, at least within this. And we change the color of the span to a hash of E2B007. And in order for this to pop up just a little bit, I will give it a text shadow of 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixels, and the hash of this brownish color. It just pops out just a little bit with this text shadow. Now let's take the nav container class again, and within this we're going to target the nav items. Let me just take a look right here. So now we're going to take on these nav items, so the UL. And for this we want to display them as flex again. And by default flex is in a row direction. They want to align the items to the center to justify the content to the flex end. So this will push all the items to the right. Now I'm going to give them a padding of, not for the left, but a complete padding of 1 rem. Now let's take on the items within them. And for this we're going to target the tags, the anchor tags that live within our nav items. So actually all of them, all of these ones. And first we want to target the anchor tag with the class of active. And I'm going to give this a background color of this brownish color, then a padding of 0.5 rem, and a border radius of 5 pixels. Now let's take this again. Actually, I can just copy this. So now we're going to take care of all of the anchor tags within this. Just delete the active class and the background, and we're just going to leave the color and going to choose the hash color of this one. We don't need the border radius, but we do want to increase the font size to 1.5 rem. And let's also give them a text transform to uppercase. And now for the font weight, we could choose, let's see, 500, actually 600. Yep, that's better. And let's also change the letter spacing to 1 pixel. Okay, so we have this done. Now all we need to do is when we hover over them, so let's copy this again and let's hit hover. Then we'll change the color of them to this goldish color. We will also give this a text shadow of 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixels and hash brown, and also a transition so this doesn't take effect immediately of 0.3 seconds and ease. So let's take a look at this. When we hover over them, you can see how the color changes. Okay, now let's take care of, so we are here, and when we reach the tablet format, I want this text to change its font size, this text to change its font size, actually this one also. Okay, so let's just stay here. And now let's create a media query. Let's type in screen and max width of 1080 pixels. And when we hit this, we want the nav container. Let's copy this class, and within this, the logo title, and also within the nav container, the logo items, and especially the A's, so the anchor tags, to change the font size to 1 rem. Let's take a look. Did I miss something here? This should actually be nav items, not logo, nav items. Okay, they're both changing. Now let's take care of the text right here. And for this, we're going to target the class of main container again, within it the h1, and going to change the font size to 5 rem. Now let's also take care of the h2. So all the span text actually in the h2. And we will display them as flex. And for the flex direction, we'll choose column. Now they're in the column. I'm actually going to highlight this. And also change the font size to 3 rem. Okay, so now we have them in a column. And we could also do justify content space between. We have to change the height of 300 pixels. This is just a bit too much. Let's say 100 pixels, 150 pixels, and that's much better. So the container has now a height of 150 pixels, and when I put space between them, let's open up our developer tools by hitting F12. Going down here. If we take this, span, there we go. So this H2 now has only the spans have that height. Exactly, now the spans have the height of 150 pixels each. Okay, now let's get back to our code. And let's make this smaller again. Next, we're going to target the max width of 768 pixels. And for this, we're going to create another mirror query, screen, and the max width. Forgot an E there, I. Oh, come on. There we go. So the max width of 768 pixels. And when this happens, we want the main container, so the class of main container h1. Actually, I could just copy this, paste it in right here, and we want this to have, so let me just take a look. We could actually increase this to 6 RAM. But for this right down here, I'm gonna decrease it. We can actually leave this as it is, but decrease this to 100 pixels. Okay. Now let's take the class of nav container and want to display this as we actually did already display it as grid. We now will change the grid template column to only one FR. So they're all in one line now. Now we will justify the content, actually the items, to the center. Everything is pushed to the center right now. And when this happens, I want this to have a transition all 0.3 seconds, also easy in out. So just refresh here. Perfect. Okay, let's go back into our media. So on the 768 pixels. And now we'll take the main container, so nav container. Oop, did something right there. And within this, the class of logo. And we'll give this a width of 100%. We'll display it as grid. And now we'll give it a grid template column of repeat 2 times 1 FR. This 1 FR means 2 times 1 fraction. So this is split up into two grid columns now. And we need to give this a position relative in order for us to give the after, so that menu, to give that a position absolute. Okay, now I'm going to take this class of nav container again, and within this target the logo title, and we copy this again, also the nav items. And within this, the anchor tags, I'm going to change the font size to 1.8 RAM. Now let's take care of our logo image and want after this image this menu button, this menu text to appear. And we can do this by typing after. Now we'll give it some content. Menu, you can see already appearing up there. But of course I have to give this now a position of absolute. So I can position this to the bottom of its container to 0. Actually, let me change the color first. Color this one. Where's our menu? And to the left, 1 RAM. Oh yeah, because we have to take care of the items right here. So let me just comment this out. Now we'll take care of this really quickly. So the class of nav container And within this, the nav items will now change the flex direction to column. We will justify the content for them with space around. Give them a height of 95 viewport heights and a width of 100%. But actually, let me just quickly give this the color of RGBA because I want this to be transparent. 226.176.7 and with the alpha of 0.8. And also the position of fixed from the top 80 pixels, so right underneath our menu. And left, I'm just going to, not flex, left, just going to leave it at 0 for now. And this should be actually the background color. Okay, there's our navigation menu now. Now I want this to have an overflow of hidden, so we can scroll anything, and a Z index of 1, so it'd be over our main, so over this main section right here. It's overlapping. And if we forget something, yeah, I'm going to give everything a transition, so all 5 seconds ease. Now let's take care of the items within this navigation, and for this we're going to take the container again and the class of navigation items, and now the anchor tags within them. Let's change the color to hash to this brown color. Just give them a text shadow of 1 pixel, 2 pixel, and the hash of this, no, not this, white color, this one. Okay, now display as inline block. And that's actually it for this, but now I want to have the active, so this class of active, to have a background color, so this one, this white background color, and the width of 100% of its container. And now let's take the nav container again, and with the nav items, but this time I'm going to target the allies within them, and I'm going to give them a width of 95%. Going to display them as block, and we'll align the text to the center. And now when we hover over the nav anchor tags, the background color should change to this brownish color. Border radius should be of 5 pixels. The width should be 100%. So we take all the entire width of the LI, and the transition of 0.3 seconds ease. Okay, so let's see if we hover over them perfectly. Okay, next up, I want this to do something. And for this, we're just going to take this ID, so this input of checkbox, the ID of this, and when this is in a state of checked, then the menu items, this class of menu items, should go to the left, should go to the 0, because now we can go back here and tell this to be minus 100%. Now if we check it, we uncheck it, disappears, and when we check it, it appears. And we can also do this with this. Okay, the last thing I want to do is to really quickly style this footer tag. I'm actually just going to copy this in and go over it really quickly. So I just took the footer tag, gave it a background color of black, a height of 50 pixels, positioned it fixed to the bottom, 0 and left 0 with a width of 100% of its container. The color of the text should be this gold color, the font size 1.5 rem. I also changed up the font family, the letter spacing, go further on, this could be even bigger or larger. The font weight to 500, text line to the center, and then I took this span tag, so this one, and I just changed the color that is in the span tag to white, text transformed to uppercase, and font size to 1.1 rem. Okay, so let's check out what we just created. So this is the mobile, the tablet, and the desktop version. Click this, click this, click this. Okay guys, so that's it for this video right now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the second time I recorded it, so hopefully this time more success. So thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. So catch you next time. Bye bye. So let's get started from So in this episode we're going to build a navigation bar again. For the 100 millionth time, we're going to build a navigation bar. Yeah, I'm going to be the navigation bar dude on YouTube.